taking him down.
It's time for the Miller's Edge with New York Giants legend and South Carolina Hall of Famer Corey Miller and his son, 4-time SEC champion and 2-time national champion Christian Miller.
Knocked down again. It was Christian Miller.
Here is college football playoff national champion Christian Miller on Tide 100.9 and 12:30 a.m. WTBC.
And welcome into this Talking Tuesday. This is the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Hope everybody is doing well. Hope you guys are ready for a fun one here today. We're going to keep diving into this LSU game, remember, as we do now. On Tuesdays, we will be joined by Clint Lamb of Cover Crimson at the top of the hour, so we'll talk with him, get his thoughts coming out of the bye week, previewing this matchup with him and all sorts of other stuff. So looking forward to doing that. And I think we're still on schedule to hear the part 2 with Tony Brown tomorrow. So looking forward to doing that again as well. Some other interesting things going on. I'm sure you guys, I don't know if you guys got to see it, but I'm sure you've heard. Alabama men's basketball kicked things off last night. Got a big dub over North Dakota, and that actually took place in Coleman. So first home game of the year took place last night. And from what I saw, Chase, LeBaron Philon had a big game, man, dropped 22. And Houston Millett led the team in rebounds with 8. And Philon also led the team in assists with 8. But it was interesting, though, because I know a lot of people were confused at first because you had a handful of guys not dressed out for the game. But the good news is it ended up being just fine, and Alabama was able to defeat North Dakota. I just drew a blank on that score, man. Come on, Todd, 100.9. I just pulled up the ad, too, and I don't even see it on here. How we not? Oh, there we go, 91-62. So a big blowout win, Chase. Did you catch any of the game?
Yeah, I was really shocked how many people showed up. It was a lot of people there, Christian.
Yeah. How was it? Because I didn't make it. How was it? How was the atmosphere?
It was great. I was able to watch it on TV, and just the flow of the game, it just brought back a lot of what men's basketball last year was doing, and it's continuing under Nate Oates. People were kind of scared a little bit why there were so many players not dressed, but you couldn't tell that the way they were playing and be able to move the ball and getting LeBaron Philon in, Houston Millett, and Sherrill off the bench. So there's a lot of production back and forth. And last year they had problems with that team because of a certain player that's not there anymore. I believe he's with West Virginia. But they handled their business, and now they're going to New York to face St. John. So that should be an interesting matchup.
Dang. So headed up to, and that's in Madison Square Garden, right?
You got it.
Man, that's going to be dope, man. That's going to be good. Yeah, I'm excited about basketball this year. I know a lot of people always ask me, they're like, do you guys dive into basketball? I'm like, yeah, we definitely do a little bit here and there, but we'll do it a little bit more this year. I'll start trying to get some more basketball guests on the show to talk about it, but I'm looking forward to it. I know there's been a lot of questions about men's basketball, kind of where things stand. I think some people kind of question the rankings preseason, but it looks to be another talented group. And I mean, when you got Nate Oates leading the ship, man, at least for me, I'm always going to be confident and trusting what he can do with his guys. But like you said, man, we were definitely lacking a few players last night, but it made hardly any difference. As a matter of fact, some young guys stepping up. From my understanding, again, I only caught bits and pieces, but shooting was pretty good, at least early in the first half. But I know a lot of people excited about Philon having a big game to start the year off. A lot of people looking for big things from him this season. So it's going to be a fun one, man. Looking forward to it, right? I'm not going to lie. After week 1 of football season, I know a lot of people were like, all right, we're already getting ready for basketball season. Now we're back locked in with football. So we'll probably, wait a little bit before we really dive into basketball. But nonetheless, man, it's going to be exciting. So definitely looking forward to doing that. I see Bama Girl SC in the chat here says, great first game, and that she watched it. So good deal, man. Good deal. Looking forward to it. Other news and notes, Chase, I'll be honest with you, man. I don't think anything other than the college football playoffs are really, huge right now, unless I missed something. But that's going to be the big one. First one this year dropping tonight. So we'll have an idea on where the whole committee stands in terms of that whole playoff race. Now, remember, we used to always say this, at least the only one that matters is the final one, right? Because I mean, you could come out, top four tonight, and then things could look totally different in a few weeks. So always remember that. But it is exciting, at least, right? And that's why they do the whole, I guess ahead of everything. Like they drop the rankings, like preview stuff. Even though, again, the last one is really what matters. But it'll be exciting to see how it kicks off, Chase. A lot of people have been looking forward to this, man. You got any early thoughts on how this thing goes? And just a reminder, you can catch this tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central on ESPN. If there's still issues with YouTube TV, however you guys figured it out last weekend, just do that to make sure you can catch the announcements. But I'll be honest with you, I don't even think you really need to watch the show. Just keep refreshing Twitter or whatever, platform you use for social media, and I'm sure that you will be able to get those as they come, as they drop the first playoff projection and rankings tonight, again on ESPN at 7 p.m. Central. Chase, I mean, I guess I might as well. I mean, where do you think we go this evening? How do you think that pans out for Alabama?
I think they'll go top 4. I don't think they'll get that number 2 spot. I think a lot of people are more infatuated with Ohio State and A&M, which is a little weird because of what Bama has been able to do since the Florida State loss and how much of a turnaround. They're not even the same team, but I think it's going to be interesting where they go. Other teams like Ole Miss, like Indiana, Oregon, so many teams outside the SEC. I'm curious where they will fall and where it's going to tell where Bama might match up with them in the future, because they're already going to make the playoffs. It's already written in stone, unless God forbid.
Whoa, Chase, whoa!
I
Chase.
knocked on wood. I don't know if anybody heard me. I
Man,
knocked on wood.
please tap on that wood, man. We still pause. Whoa. Yeah, we got plenty of games left, man. We got plenty of games. Look, no, I'm just kidding. I mean, I feel what you're saying. No, you definitely not wrong, especially the way things are looking. But it's like, God, man, you still just never know. I'm with you though. I'm looking at the AP because typically, I'm not saying things follow the AP, but obviously you can get a good idea on kind of how things go. So I'm looking at that. I'm just trying to see where things might be a little bit different from what we already have with the AP, especially with it being the first week. We'll know more over the next couple weeks. But let's do this because we're already due to hit a timeout. Let's go ahead and do that. When we come back, Chase, we'll look at things and we'll go ahead and start kind of predicting and seeing where we think things will fall tonight. Again, the first playoff rankings unveil 7 p.m. Central Time this evening on ESPN. Hopefully you guys figured out the whole situation with YouTube TV stuff so you can catch us if you want to watch it. If not, don't worry. There'll be plenty of tweets with where everybody falls in this evening's ranking. So we'll discuss that first when we come back after this quick timeout. Plus, Clint Lamb of Cover Crimson at the top of the hour, previewing Alabama LSU, taking your phone calls. It is a Talking Tuesday. 205-342-9904 is the number to the program. All that coming up right here on the Miller's Edge, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Arch Sport Experts.
Alabama football is back, and there's nothing.
What's up, guys? Who we got in here? Ryan, Jake, Phil, what's up? Kenji, what's up? Mike, Bam Girl, I see, what's up? Carson, what's going on, man? Keith? It's showing y'all's usernames again, but I'm trying to remember before it switched to this. Because I see, like, is that LK before the switch? If not, we'll just go with Piercy. Or Percy. I'm bad with names, guys. You guys know that. Travelpreneur, what's up? Paul, what's up? Yeah, go ahead and get ready. We're going to talk about this first before we start diving into some more. Since we got Clint coming up later, we'll wait to do that. Plus, we still got to go back and listen to Kane Womack from yesterday. But oh, okay, that's right. Bam Ball, that's right. Sorry, I don't know why it made this switch, man. Brock, what's going on? LSU has O-line problems. I expect at least 3 sacks and a lot of pressure on us. Yeah, man, I think that's going to be – I feel like the keys, man, have been so repetitive this year, but I feel like it's just kind of like what we're getting, like the teams that we're tasked with, man. There's a lot of similar issues, right? And you're 100% right. I think there is going to be a lot of opportunities to get after Nuss. They don't have a running game. I don't think they'll just randomly try to – I mean, they'll try to run the ball. I mean, especially given that we've shown some vulnerability at times, much better in recent weeks. But I'm sure they'll probably try to establish that running game. Who doesn't? You always want to, especially on the road. But we know that that just hasn't been there. They're probably going to have to throw the ball. And whenever you're one-dimensional like that, man, always gives an edge rusher that opportunity to pin his ears back and go. So I'm expecting our guys to get after him too. I agree with you. Hot take: Bama rushes for 100+ against LSU. A lot of people feel like we're going to try to run the ball this game. I mean, look, we need to. I mean, number one, it's going to be a physical game. We got to establish that line of scrimmage. And two, I really think we've got to keep chopping at the bit, right, in terms of our running game. Down the stretch is going to be important. I think this is a good opportunity to test that. LSU definitely solid in their run defense. I think they're kind of middle of the pack in terms of, yards they give up. QD, what's up? What's up, bro? But yeah, no, I feel like we definitely try to establish that for sure. But I mean, it's like on one hand, like I'm still adamant on that. We've got to continue to establish that run game. But on the other, I feel a lot better knowing that we can utilize extensions of the running game successfully. We've seen that, Why don't you have Stephen M on? Man, I didn't know what all he had going on, bro. I know he got into coaching and he was doing some other stuff. We'll get him back on. It's funny you say that, man. I saw that he's back covering the team and stuff. So we'll get our guy Stephen M back on here, man. He's a great dude, man. Real great dude. We'll get him back on here for sure. I'll start getting a bunch of other people on here just to kind of talk. I just know you guys normally like hearing me break stuff down, so I don't always. The good news is I don't have to rely on guests, but I know it is nice kind of having like a fresh perspective. I just like getting people that I know you guys are going to enjoy. Nah, he definitely loves Bama, man. He's such a nice dude, though, man. Love Steve now. Good dude. Got my tinfoil hat on, but think Grubb and Sheridan meeting with Gruden might have flipped the switch. We'll see, man. I mean, I'm waiting for that video to drop because best believe we're going to play it on here. We're definitely going to play that video on here. I don't think it dropped yet. Let's see. Let's see where we're at with it. I don't even know what his channel is called. Just type in John Gruden. Yeah, I don't think he dropped it yet, did he? Nah. He's breaking down basic offensive formations in one video, though. There you go. Y'all need to check his stuff out. Yeah, when that video drops, we'll definitely we'll play a lot of stuff. Damn, y'all sound like y'all don't like listening to Christian talk. No, it's not that. Hell, I wouldn't blame him. Hell, I talk all the time. Before me, when my dad was on here consistently, at least it was me going back and forth with somebody. Trust me, I'd much rather have somebody else talking too. I don't want to be talking the whole time like that if I don't have to. We're gonna get Chase and Reed more involved. Don't worry. I'm gonna start putting Chase gonna be on here too now. We're gonna get Chase on here a lot. Our producers. Do what you do. Love to see the run game, but you have to be who you are. Yeah, that's why I'm saying. Like, I don't think you necessarily force it, but you gotta find a way. I'm just telling you guys, when you get matched up with a team that's capable both offensively and defensively, especially these teams that are top teams that you probably will see in the postseason, you just don't want to be one dimensional. You just don't want to be one dimensional. I'm not saying you have to all of a sudden become Missouri in terms of the running game, but you got to have some. And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday. This is the Miller's Edge, tied 100.9, 1230 WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Arch Support Experts. And if you haven't already, make sure you guys go check them out. Good Feet, kickforcash.com. You go sign up right there, your name, email. That's all that's required to get enrolled for a chance to be a kicker, right? You get to go put your Will Reichert helmet on. I don't think you actually put a helmet on, but you guys get what I'm saying. You get to go play kicker, and if you make the field goals, you win free cash. If not, you still walk away with the gift bag from the Good Feet Store. So make sure you guys do that right now. Good Feet, kick for cash. And also check out the Good Feet Store if you're just dealing with any type of pain, foot pain, knee pain, back pain, and you're looking for something to help eliminate and alleviate that pain. It all starts with your base. That's your feet. So make sure you guys take care of them. And that's what the Good Feet Store is for. Goodfeet.com for more information and finding the nearest location to you. Or you can always go to the one here in Tuscaloosa if you're local. Again, that's Good Feet right there in Midtown Village. You can't miss it. Walk-ins are welcome, but you can always schedule an appointment. That is the Good Feet Store, improving the quality of people's lives 2 feet at a time. All right, so first segment, we got into this conversation. We're going to start here. All right, we got the first. I keep wanting to say like first ever. It's not the first ever. It's the first of this season. Playoff unveilings, right? We will hear tonight where everybody stands according to the committee. The official rankings will be unveiled tonight. But again, just the first one. The last one is what matters. You know, again, the coach Saban used to tell us all the time, don't even pay attention to that crap. It doesn't matter. The last one is the only one we care about. But being in the sports media world, we're going to pay attention to it because it gives us something to talk about. That being said, Chase, we're talking about where we see things falling tonight. And I always just feel like there's a good chance. I mean, it normally is very similar to the AP, right? Especially with it being the first one. I don't think it ends up being way off. But let's just look at the AP and kind of see, and I'll share this on the stream. Again, we do live stream every day on YouTube. Easy to find us. Come check us out. All right, so here's the AP and the coaches poll, both pulled up. So they vary slightly. So we'll take a look at these, kind of get an idea. But you got Ohio State. I think without a doubt, we all can agree Ohio State will come in at number 1 tonight. Number 2, I think it's pretty fair to say probably Indiana. I mean, maybe there could be an argument that Texas A&M or Indiana could be 2, right? So like maybe you pay attention to that, but I guess it really doesn't matter. As long as you're in the top 4, you still get that you get the bye and all that stuff. But Alabama, Chase, is it safe to say that we're pretty certain that we're going to be the 4th ranked team tonight? I mean, I'm looking at the rest of the group, right? The only other undefeated team that's not in the top 3 would be BYU, and that's not. The committee has made some questionable decisions, but that is not on my bingo card. I would not expect them to do something dumb like that. So out of these one-loss teams, Chase, is it safe to say that Alabama is the most deserving for that next spot? To me, I think it's pretty clear. I look at strength of schedule, our loss to Florida State. I mean, because again, the committee said, I mean, those are things they value, right? Strength of schedule, the wins, right? And then also the losses. I would say our loss to Florida State, I mean, while it should have been a lot better of a loss, given that I thought they were going to be a better football team than they get into ACC play, and then they just completely melt down and return to form that we saw last year. It is what it is, or it was what it was. But I think the thing that also helps with that loss too, Chase, is the fact that it came in week 1, right? We also know, at least that I've picked up on this, the committee, a loss way earlier in the year, they don't normally weigh it as heavy as they do a more recent loss. Because I guess obviously you think about, the way the team has, changed since, especially week 1. We're talking about week 1, man. The gaps between week 1 and week 2 and how things change. I think that's very fair to consider. That being said, I'm almost certain Alabama comes in at 4 tonight. I mean, you got Georgia there as a one-loss team. That loss coming to Alabama. We know how the head-to-heads work. Georgia's not going to be above us. You got Oregon. Their only loss being to, I'm drawing a blank, it was Indiana. 30-20 lost to Indiana. But looking at their wins, Chase, they don't even have a current ranked win. You get what I'm saying? I mean, they won over Penn State, who was number 3 at the time, and they narrowly escaped that one, an overtime victory. However, Penn State has kind of gone down the drain since then. So Oregon, who has no ranked wins, I mean, we're wasting our time even looking at that, versus Alabama with 4, should still be 4 as of now. Ole Miss, let's look at theirs. Another loss to Georgia, but let's see their wins. You got the win over ranked Oklahoma. I want to say, I guess they're 13, or they were at the time. And LSU, who was ranked at the time, but no longer is ranked. So without a doubt, Alabama is the best one. We'll just stop there. We're not going to waste any more time. Alabama, without a doubt, is the best one-loss team. I wanted to see if there's anybody who even came close, but it's evident that there's not even anyone remotely close right now. After that, I guess that's where things get kind of interesting. But again, if we go off the logic we just used, Chase, with the head-to-heads, Georgia beat Ole Miss, so they're definitely going to be above them. Georgia's definitely got a better resume than Oregon, so they'll be above them. So I really think 1 through 7, other than maybe you swap Ole Miss and Oregon, like those, like the little things that could be different tonight's playoff rankings, which really don't make a huge difference. Again, and this really doesn't even matter right now because all that matters is the last one, but still, I'm just kind of looking at it just for fun and want to get y'all's opinion. But I guess where it really could get different is you start looking like 8 through even like 16 type deal. You know what I mean? Like that's where it gets mixed up. Real quick, Chase, is there anything on here, or any teams on here that you think could see like a big change from like what we're seeing now in the AP or the coaches to the official rankings tonight, or you think it's going to be relatively similar to what we've already got?
I think it's gonna be relatively similar from what we got, Christian. I was thinking about Oklahoma a little bit, that maybe they could jump a spot because they beat Tennessee, and that was a huge win for them, especially getting their season turned around. I'm surprised Texas is that high. Kind of like their head-to-head matchups and like margins of score. Vandy, I feel like, should be a lot closer than I don't think Louisville by their schedule. It's
Let's
kind of
see.
cupcake.
It definitely is. They got the win over Miami, which is
Yeah.
the big one, right? And I guess Virginia was ranked. Well, they lost to Virginia. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
But so the big one would be the win over Miami, and they're a one-loss team. So that's definitely going to help give them a little bit of a boost. I mean, you look at the remainder of their schedule, though. I mean, they got Cal, Clemson, who's playing terrible, SMU, who is, again, they're 6-3 right now, so not great either. But Kentucky's not great. So I mean, I guess when you look at these other teams' schedules, Chase, I think one thing that it does for me, it really makes you respect Alabama's schedule. Because everybody we've clicked on, I don't know if you've noticed a theme, but they've got maybe one ranked win. Like maybe. Then you look at Alabama having like, was it 4 straight in a row? I mean, what was it? Georgia. Then who was that? Was it Vanderbilt immediately after Georgia? How did the thing go? Was it Georgia, Vanderbilt, Missouri? And why am I drawing a blank? It's one of those days. It was 4 straight ranked wins, though. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank, but you get my point. Definitely, I mean, Alabama, you got to respect the resume. I don't even think there's anybody comparable. I know you mentioned Texas, and I will say the reason they're trending up, Chase, though, is because the one loss to Ohio State, that comes to number 1 team, right? That's fair. The Florida loss, not a good loss. We know that. But then since then, they've kind of gone on. They're trending in the right direction at the right time. Now, we'll know more about them over the next few weeks because they still got to play Georgia, who's a top 5 team, and then Texas A&M, top 3 team. So we'll find out more. I mean, and they basically control their destiny. If Texas wins out, best believe they're going to be in the mix of all this stuff. I mean, because you get 2 opportunities at being a top 5 team, and that automatically is going to bolster your resume without a doubt. I'm trying to think. I mean, Notre Dame, we know that they're lost to Miami and Texas A&M. Miami's still, I mean, that's still a solid loss, but in my opinion, I don't know. Miami, I'm a little skeptical, man. Really like their defense, the guys they got at the personnel. I mean, especially Ruben Bain. I mean, I'm a huge fan of his, but I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be interesting though. But let's do this. Let's hit a timeout to stay on schedule. I want to get y'all's thoughts. Who do you think I guess I feel like the top 4. I don't even think that's a good question, Chase. I mean, I feel like top 4 is pretty easy. Who is going to be y'all surprise this evening? I guess maybe. Are there any surprises? Let me just start there. We'll start easy. Are there any surprises that you guys think we could see tonight on the official first ranking for the college football playoffs? If so, what would that be? Is there a team that you think could move up some spots? A team that might not be ranked so high? Let me know. 205-342-9904. It's Talking Tuesday. Plus, we got Clint Lamb of Cover Crimson at the top of the hour discussing this Alabama LSU matchup. We'll dive into more of that too coming up. And we still got to hear from Kane Womack as well. All that coming up right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
Tuscaloosa Mazda, they are expanding their showroom to serve you better. Come see their new and pre-owned Mazda lineup, offering fuel efficiency, advanced technology, and plush comfort.
That's interesting. Paul said Bama might be 2 or 3 because of the schedule. I mean, I didn't really think about that. I mean, that's a fair point. I mean, I don't think so, but could they consider that? I mean, Indiana's got ranked win over Illinois. They blew out, and they were ranked at the time. We got to go back and see where Illinois is at right now. Then Oregon. Where's Illinois ranked right now? Why is it pulling up that game? I want to see like in general. Let's go back. Is Illinois even still ranked? No, they are not. So they've got 1 ranked win. I mean, might not be wrong. Might not be wrong. I mean, if you really go off a strength of schedule, I mean, I guess it's just going to have to be. I mean, how do you weigh a 1-loss team that has 4 straight ranked wins? Matter of fact, let me pull that up because I was drawing a blank. I'm like, bro, who's the 4th team? I'm like, Georgia, Vanderbilt, Missouri, Tennessee. Damn, forgot the Tennessee. That's what it was. Georgia, Vanderbilt, Missouri, Tennessee. Which all of those remain as ranked wins. Now, they were like 3 of those being top 10, and then like all of them were top 15. Now it's a little bit different. Now it's like, Georgia, you got a top win there, top 10. I think the rest are all between like 12 and 25, I believe, which still, again, ranked wins, though. Which one of those, I wouldn't be shocked. One of them is probably going to fall out by the end of the year, which doesn't matter. I mean, you still got plenty of ranked wins. And you get another opportunity with Oklahoma. But Tennessee's at 23 right now, Missouri at 19, Vanderbilt at 15, and then Georgia's at 5. So still, without a doubt, the best resume in terms of strength of schedule. It's just that loss, man. Which, again, we're just being nitpicky right now. That's not going to affect anything like not long term, but you get what I'm saying. Like that with us being where we're at right now, we very much, you went out, without a doubt, you're going to be one of the top 4 seeds. I mean, no question about it. If we win on Saturday, we don't get the benefit of beating a ranked LSU. So basically 6 of the 7 teams we've played are or have been ranked. Yeah, I mean, if you go back and you base it off of, I guess, preseason rankings, it definitely would look even better, but can't do that, though. Biggest prediction is Louisville being in tonight. And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. Again, we will be joined by Clint Lamb of Cover Crimson at the top of the hour, so make sure you guys stay tuned for that. We'll really start breaking down Alabama LSU when we get him on. That's why I'm being patient right now. We're talking a lot about the rankings that will be unveiled tonight. Carson thinks Louisville being in tonight would be his surprise. I mean, it's going to be interesting. You know, that is one thing. I know I downplay the rankings tonight, Chase, but I will say one thing that one thing important that we will learn tonight is how the committee, like the temperature of the committee and how they're viewing things. I don't know why I could not get that out correctly earlier, but sorry, tongue tied. To me, that's something that's going to be, I guess, something we can learn, right? Because we're going to see how they really are leaning in terms of strength of schedule, quality wins, the quality of a loss, all that stuff. We'll get an idea on their mindset. So that will be important. Even though it's not like a final ranking, being able to see how they're gauging things, at least right now, I think will be important. Because remember, we've had these controversies about, do you value the one loss team that has a better strength of schedule and better wins versus undefeated team who haven't played anybody. All that stuff, I think we'll get an early preview on how the committee is going to view these things. So that is something that I will be looking at tonight. Carson says Notre Dame surprises me. I think they're actually pretty good. They're an interesting team for sure. Again, they had those 2 losses, both coming in the first. They started the year 0-2, but since then they've been playing much better. I mean, they got a win over USC. Really, that's going to be their most impressive win. The remaining games they have, the problem is, in my opinion, it's not really going to prove too much. I mean, you got Navy, you got Pitt, you got Syracuse, and you got Stanford, right? So their opportunity to prove against the top teams they lost, that's going to end up coming back to bite them, in my opinion. Even if they look, which I do think they look much better now, the problem is they can make the argument, oh, okay, that was the first 2 weeks of the year, whatever the case is. The problem is when you look at their ability to redeem themselves against another quality team, they don't really have many opportunities left. I mean, the only thing they can lean back on would be maybe the Southern Cal game, right? I don't know. So we'll have to see how they figure that part out. But it'll be interesting, man. It definitely will be very interesting how things fall tonight. I was trying to see if there's anything else on there we could really pull away from that. But Texas Tech, I know a lot of people were trying to see if the hype was real with them. They ended up losing to Arizona State not long ago, but since then, blew out Oklahoma State, went over Kansas State. They do face BYU. I think Texas Tech will be an interesting team. If they end up beating BYU, I still am not very impressed by their schedule, if I'm being completely honest with you. I would be curious to see how they end up faring, in the stretch down, when you start playing good quality teams. Because this could be an opportunity. It looks like they're kind of slowly turning things around. I mean, I don't know if you guys have paid attention to it, but they've dropped a lot of bags in terms of recruiting and getting guys. And so looks like they're already starting to see a little bit of a return on investment, man. So it's interesting to see Texas Tech kind of showing up. But I don't know, man. I don't know. I guess real quick, one last little question I got, Chase. How many SEC teams do you think we end up ultimately getting in the college football playoffs? I mean, to me, when you look at the conference right now, I mean, we got some good teams, right? Like whether it's A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss. I mean, to me, all 4 of those teams should without a doubt have a case to make it. I mean, how many do you ultimately think? I mean, you think we see even more than that end up making it, Chase?
I don't know. I feel 4 for sure. I think maybe if, oh man, this gets dicey.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, look, I definitely think it could be more, but it's just kind of,
Okay.
I mean, it just depends on how everything plays out. But I mean, really, I think like the 4 we just named, I almost think like I have to go back and see who plays who again just to make sure I'm not missing something. But to me, I mean, I think four is almost, I wouldn't say like guaranteed, but I'll say this. I feel strongly about 4 SEC teams making it. I would not be shocked if there was a 5th. The problem is who would be that 5th though, Chase? Right? Who would be that 5th? Here's a preview bracket. This is from today actually. And this is like when I say preview, it's like just a little prediction. And this has, I'll throw this up on the screen. I think it's from NCAA.com. Again, I don't know the validity. It's just a prediction. But this has Alabama at 4, Texas A&M at 2. It's got Ole Miss at 7, Texas at 10, Georgia at 5. So that would have 5. So that would be your example. And they're going with Texas being that 5th team, which I think that probably makes sense given how Texas is playing right now. But at the same time, it doesn't make sense because we just talked about who Texas has to play. They have to play A&M and Georgia. So that would be messy, right? Because if Texas did beat Georgia and given them their second loss, then you almost have a decision where they're probably fighting for that spot themselves. Does that make sense? I
Man,
just
ugh.
I know.
Yeah.
And then because then I'm looking at Oklahoma, right? They've already got 2 losses. If and when we beat them, that'll give them 3. That's definitely a stretch. Who does Vanderbilt? Let's see who Vanderbilt has the remainder of the year. Okay, so Vanderbilt definitely could win out. They've got Auburn, Kentucky, and Tennessee. If Vanderbilt wins out, they could potentially be a 15, being a 2-loss team. Those losses coming to Alabama, who would be a top-ranked team, and the other one being Texas. Was kind of I wouldn't say a blowout, but they definitely were getting beat up the first half. Made a case in the second half, almost came and won from behind. But hey, now that I think about it, that graphic I just pulled up, that wouldn't make much sense given that Texas has to play Georgia and A&M in their final few games. I don't know, man. I don't know. I do know we got to hit a timeout, so let's do this. Let's go ahead and hit a timeout. I want you guys in the chat. Let me know what you guys think. Do you see us having 4 teams, maybe 5? Let me know. And who would that be if we did have 5? Who would that 15 be? We come back. We'll dive into a little bit of this Kane Wommack press conference before we get to Clint Lamb at the top of the hour from Cover Crimson. All that coming up right here on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
For over 50 years, Townsend Nissan has been Tuscaloosa's trusted family-owned dealer, and right now, the savings are unbeatable. Payments start as low as $249 a month on
4 teams, at least 3, maybe 5. Yeah. After seeing some of those schedules, I think it's probably going to lean towards 4. And technically could be 3 depending on if someone lays an egg, but let's see what you guys think. UT will lose at Georgia to get their 3rd loss. Yeah, I don't see them winning out either. I was about to say, I mean, you got to beat Georgia and Texas A&M. I don't see that happening. Bama beats OU next week. They're out. Tennessee's out. Texas may squeeze in. It's just I don't see Texas winning. Definitely not winning both. I think if they lose one, they're probably not in it either. I mean, do we see a 9-3 team make the playoffs? I guess that would be the next question. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm not great when it comes to all these analytics with teams and this and that. So don't take I'm just going off the top of my head, man. I have not looked up any of this crap. But given the system, right? Because you got the top 4 teams, and then you got what is it like the whole one group of 5? So really, you're kind of eyeing for technically 11 spots, not 12, because that one spot for the group of 5. I think 9-3 could make the playoff from the SEC given the strength schedule this year. Like this might be a dumb question, but I'm genuinely just forgetting, guys. I don't remember stuff this far. Was there a 9-3 team that made it last year? I mean, there had to be, right? Let me just pull it up real quick. I got to see the schedules of the teams, though. All right, let's see. Let's go to ESPN. Here's the bracket, but I need to see the schedule, or not schedules, but like the records. I don't see the records. I can't remember. Maybe you guys remember. No, this will be the first. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I don't think. Oh, well, Clemson technically, I guess. But I'm pretty sure this year, because I know they changed it, that like instead of the top 4 like teams that get the buys being the conference champions, Clemson, that's right. Thank y'all. I'm pretty sure starting this year, it's just the top 4 teams. Those will be the top 4 seeds, which I'm so glad they changed that. That whole just the conference champions getting those seeds, for the buys. That was dumb given that there's not enough. There's no the 4 conferences that they're using were not created equal. So that was dumb, and I'm glad they got rid of that. That needed to change. Yeah, they got that auto bid. But see, this is why I'm forgetting this now. Are there still conference champion auto bids? They just don't get the buys. I forgot all the changes because I remember they changed a lot of this crap. Maybe not a lot of it. They made changes, and I just don't remember everything. I know for a fact they don't get the buys anymore like they did, but do they still get an automatic playoff? Excuse me, yeah, an automatic playoff spot. Let's just look up the day. Let's refresh together, right? See if we playoff, not rules, but what do you call it? 2025. I don't know. What do you call it? Rules? 12-team format, new seeding system where the 4 highest ranked teams overall will receive the first round bye. So we're clear on that. The next 8 teams will play in the first round. The field consists of the 5 highest ranked conference champions and the next 7 highest ranked teams with higher seeded teams hosting first round. Wait. Is that right? I mean, this is coming from AI. Sometimes AI is a little off. And welcome back in to this Talking Tuesday edition of Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC. All right, Chase. So I'm trying to refresh. We're all refreshing together on the whole rules and everything for the playoffs this season because, again, they did make some changes. Now, I did know for sure that, again, another 12-team format, but the new seeding system will have the 4 highest ranked teams overall get those first round buys instead of it being like the conference champions like it was last year, which was dumb. That's great that they did that. Now, I'm just trying to make sure, but you still, I think, get a spot, at least from what I'm reading. It says the next 8 teams will play in the first round. The field consists of the 5 highest ranked conference champions and the next 7 highest ranked teams with higher seeded teams hosting first round games on campus. The 4 highest ranked teams will be seeded 1 through 4, with the remaining 8 teams being 5 through 12. So I guess if you're still conference champion, you still get auto bids. You just don't get the buy. So there you have it. Sorry, it gets so confusing because they change and tweak so many things, just like they do it with the transfer portal, just like they do it with NIL. And then it's like I don't even know what sticks because, isn't it kind of crazy? Think about NIL, for example. They come up with this whole new thing where, all right, we've got revenue share now. We've got it to where we've got a committee that's going to oversee the deals, and if they're over $600, you got to get them processed and they got to be approved. How much have we heard from any of that since then? Chase, is it even are they still actively even doing that like they were? Are people even following through with that? I'm genuinely curious. Have you heard anything about any of that stuff? Any of these changes that they made? Yeah, it went radio silent. All these changes, all these things, all these people, lawmakers, people talking at it, puffing their chest out like they're going to do all this stuff. What the hell has even really changed? When I tell you, Chase, I'm so confused. A committee is announced, on a presidential level that Coach Saban is going to be the head of. A week later, he's literally saying he has no idea what that's about, and then it ends up not being a thing. It's there's so much, just back and forth. This is going to be it. This is not a thing. I'll be at this point. I don't even know how to keep up with college football. I genuinely don't even know how to keep up. Yeah, so I guess we're on the same page now. Conference champions get a playoff spot, but they don't get the automatic buys anymore. That said, I guess, all right, so if you take one of the top SEC teams, right, and they automatically get in from being an SEC champion, I guess maybe. I think it boils down to, I think there's going to probably be 4 SEC teams that get it. I'm just going to stick with that. I'm not going to overcomplicate it. I'm just going to stick with that. A&M and Bama will not be 2 and 4 if we play an SEC final. Loser will be 5 or 6. Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, there's so much ball to be played, even though there's only 3-4 games remaining, I guess, depending on who it is. And then if you add conference champions, those 2, there's definitely going to be some shuffling. And I guess that goes back to the whole main point of these rankings. I mean, they're fun. They're exciting just to talk about, but that's literally about all it is for, just to talk about, because things are going to be totally different when it is all said and done. All right, so we don't have time to play Kane Womack right now. His interview is about 12 minutes, so we'll wait on that because we do have Clint Lamb coming up. And I know Clint mentioned he would be good to join the stream, so we'll see if that's still good. If not, he'll join us via the phone lines. So we're about to start diving into this Alabama-LSU matchup, which I know a lot of you guys are looking forward to. We'll definitely do that. Just starting to space it out so we're not beating a dead horse throughout the whole week. That being said, definitely excited to dive into this. I've had a little bit more time to kind of watch LSU, kind of get a little bit more, gain some more thoughts on kind of this matchup, just to kind of give some early thoughts. Chase, I'm going to be honest with you, man. Like, this LSU team is so interesting because with the amount of talent that they have, it's not clicking, right? And I understand that's why they went ahead and made the coaching change. And I know people are saying, "Oh, we'll see what this guy can do," really on the offense side of the ball, because you got a change in coordinator. But I mean, even like the guys they have on defense, I mean, they got good players, man. It's just not clicking. But it's really kind of is like reminiscent of South Carolina, given that you got a solid defense, a sound defense, but you got an offense that is just like, I mean, they're just not firing correctly, right? Their running game is terrible. They can't get that going. A quarterback who threw for 4,000 yards last year, I mean, is struggling immensely. And then it makes sense why he's struggling. We talk about all the factors, lack of running game, offensive line playing being really bad. I mean, injuries that he's been dealing with. They're kind of beat up and bruised. But I say all that to say, without a doubt, I still think it's a good football team, right? You definitely got to respect them. They're going to come play hard. I mean, it's Alabama, LSU. I don't know if we officially call it a rivalry. In my eyes, I view it as a rivalry just because my experience is playing against LSU. But I think it's going to be a good game. But man, it's so interesting watching this team play, man, because it's just like they just can't really figure out a lot of things that you would think they would be able to figure out given the players that they do have. So that being said, let's get ready to talk Alabama LSU. We'll do that with Clint Lamb of Cover Crimson coming up here in a couple minutes, top of the hour. We're going to take a time out. When we come back, we'll do just that. Make sure you guys are ready for that. If you got any questions too, you can always drop those here in the chat on YouTube, or you can always leave an app message as well, and we can read those here on the show. Right on the Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Martin Weiss.
The Cardinals break a 5-game losing streak, beating the Cowboys 27-17. Jacoby Brissett getting the start in place of Kyler Murray. Murray questionable until the inactive list came out, but dropped about an hour before kickoff and then was made inactive. Commanders linebacker Frankie Louvu suspended without pay for 1 game due to hip drop tackles. The Ravens have traded for Titans edge rusher Jamont Jones for a 5th-round pick that could become a 4th-rounder. College basketball tipped off. 13th-ranked Arizona beat 3rd-ranked Florida 93-87. Kelvin Sampson won his 800th career game, this one with the University of Houston. They're the number 2 team in the nation. In the NBA, the Timberwolves beat the Nets 125-109. The Nets winless so far on the season, 0-7. The Rockets get their 4th win on the year, beating the Mavericks 110-102. Dallas 2-5 to start the year, winless on the road. I'm Martin White.
The Tide Tailgate Show is presented by Pearl River Resort in Choctaw, Mississippi. Online at pearlriverresort.com. And by Tuscaloosa Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram. Online at TuscaloosaCDJR.com. And by Two Dimes. Online at twodimes.club. And by Druid City Regional Medical Center. DCHsystem.com.
Do you have cracks or potholes that are dragging down your property's appeal? Hey, I'm Christian Miller, and at Asphalt Restoration, we transform dry lots with expert.
All right, let me send this to Clint. Chase, we're going to have Clint on the stream, so don't worry about calling. If you can, just throw in a couple ads real quick so I can shoot him this email if you don't mind. Let's see. Heck yeah, we got Clint on the stream today. ClintRlam@gmail.com. Whoops, sorry, I shouldn't say that. I'm tripping. All right, good deal. All right, perfect. So we'll get Clint on here and make sure we got this all set up. Put that in the background, and we'll switch Tide over when Clint gets on here. Good deal. All right, if you guys got any questions you guys want us to talk about, we're definitely going to dive into Alabama LSU. Let's see. Jets has traded Sauce to the Colts. Oh, damn. He hadn't been. I'm not gonna say he hadn't been playing great, but I mean he hadn't been playing since that was his rookie year, his first year. Man, he hadn't really been as great as I think a lot of people would have thought. But I wouldn't expect him to get traded though. Oops. Heck yeah! All right, we got Clint on here now. Let me swap this. Clint, you got me?
Yeah, man. How you doing today, brother?
Good, man. Good deal, man. Appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, no problem at all. Looking forward to it.
Absolutely, man. We're on commercial break now. I think we might have like a minute or so coming back. Let me see.
Denny Stadium. Oh.
Hey, Chase, we got Clint ready, so we're good. Sorry, Chase is my producer. Just about to come back here in like 30 seconds. How's everything? You had a good bye week, man?
Yeah, man. It was pleasant watching, just getting to enjoy all the other games on Saturday. How about you?
Yeah, same thing. Just trying to kick back and relax a minute before it kicks back off, man. No more breaks after that.
Yeah, especially with college football playoff rankings. Just another piece of content that's going to be worth covering moving forward.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Busy time, but it's a good thing, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a good thing. Do they have other player interviews today after practice, you know?
Yeah. I haven't got a chance to look at them because I just got done with my stuff, but I'll they don't really start posting them until probably about now anyways, 12:30.
Okay. Good deal.
The low 44. The weather
All right,
dry
we're
and
about to come
mild
back
tomorrow
here.
and Thursday. Lots of sunshine both days. Highs between 70 and 73.
Yeah, just going to get your thoughts on this Alabama
James
LSU
Spann with the
matchup.
Alabama Weather Network
Yeah,
on Tide
sounds good.
100.9. It's 68 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
This is Miller's Edge on Tide 100.9.
And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday edition of Miller's Edge, Tide 100.9, 1230. WTBC, presented by the Good Feet Store, America's Arch Sport Experts, where we're now joined by our good friend Clint Lamb of Cover Crimson. And we got Clint over on the stream this time. So if you guys want to come check us out at the Miller's Edge on YouTube, you always can do that. Hang out in the chat, all that good stuff. Watch me and Clint break down a little bit of this Alabama LSU game. Or if you're listening via radio, no problem. Keep doing that. Download that Tide 100.9 app, completely free. Google Play Store, Apple App Store, all that good stuff as well. Clint, man, welcome in, man. Glad to have you on here. First time on the stream, but now you're a regular here on the show, man. How's everything?
It's going fantastic. Good week of football coming up. Good weekend of football coming up. So definitely looking forward to seeing Alabama back on the field.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I talked to you briefly before we came on here about what you had going on in the bye week, just seeing if you got to kick back. I know you're busy, man, covering the team and all over the place, which is good. It's a good problem to have. But uh, any thoughts coming out of the bye week? I know we talked about last week, kind of just what we were thinking during it, but I know we heard from the coaches in their press conferences yesterday. Anything that stood out to you from that, or anything that you've heard, kind of just where this team is coming out of the bye week as they prepare for LSU?
Well, it's been figuring out ways to win games. It's not always going to look pretty, but it's kind of like Ryan Grubb said yesterday, where just the growth from the team during that South Carolina game, where just a whole lot's not going right. How you expected things to go as far as controlling pacing and tempo and controlling the clock. Didn't really do that for a majority of the game, yet they still figured out a way to win. So love what the defense is starting to do and really have been doing for quite a while as far as timely turnovers. They still have some issues, some things they need to work on, but I think they got talent. I think they're building depth with each passing week. And I think offensively, obviously there are some things that you want to get cleaned up as well as far as the run game and things like that. But overall, they're doing a pretty good job on that side of the football too. So this is a playoff contending team. They just got to keep their head down and keep going to work.
You mentioned the running game. I know we talked a lot about it last week, but I just want to get your thoughts real quick. How important do you think it is that Alabama establishes that, especially, finishing the regular season and moving into the postseason? I know we talked about, things that were going wrong with it and what they need to do, but and the reason I ask is, for me, I'm kind of like on the fence, Clint. I know how important the running game is. I always harp on it. I always say we got to keep building off of it. But then it's like when you really watch the tape and you see this Alabama team, this offense, they still are finding ways, right? I mean, we found ways to win games, whether we ran the ball great, whether we didn't run the ball great, and whether that's using extensions of the running game, getting Jeremy Bernard the football in the backfield. It just almost gets to a point where it's like, in my head, I'm like, am I just being overly critical? Since they've kind of showed us, look, this is who they are. They don't really run the ball great. They try to, but we have success doing other things. Or do you still feel like, no, you got to fight that urge to kind of get complacent, but say, yeah, we still need to establish that running? Because I still feel like there's a hint of that, knowing that if we play a team like Ohio State or Indiana that looks a little bit more balanced, that plays really good defense, but also has the ability to score points, that running game could be a factor. That way you're not one to mention.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. I think it's, granted, one of the big elements of having a strong running game is being able to control tempo and clock, which they do anyways. So it's not critical or a necessity necessarily from that standpoint, but just when you start getting into playoff football, and I mean, LSU is a good football team. Oklahoma's playing really well right now. Defensively, they're excellent. Offensively, I think they're getting better with their quarterback getting healthier. That's going to be a tough game. You got to go to Jordan-Hare Stadium and play that Auburn defense on the road. You never know what can happen. But then it becomes SEC championship potentially. It's college football playoff potentially. And if you reach those stages, it's only going to get more and more difficult. And like you said, having defenses that are a little bit more balanced can do more different things. I mean, the more that you can attack them, which is why I also think they're really trying to get that vertical passing game going, the more diverse you can be and the more things that you can throw at opposing defenses, the more difficult you're going to be to defend. And so, I think that Alabama has shown flashes of being able to get the run game on track. Now, granted, I'm not saying they're going to become a completely balanced, equally as effective between run and pass, but what I do think is they can be more effective than they've been in certain games. And with Jam Miller, post-bye, hopefully he's, a little bit back to the guy we saw against Georgia, Vanderbilt, and Missouri. And then, of course, Daniel Hill and kind of what they're doing with him, not just from a run game perspective, but really in general. That's another versatile piece that you can use. I think between that tandem, you could end up having a pretty balanced attack, at least to an extent, based off of the strain that you're putting on opposing defenses with your passing game.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the versatility in that backfield definitely is helpful. And we all know up front, they're going to have to clean some stuff up. But it sounded like, I listened to that Ryan Grubb press conference, and it sounded like that's what they harped on over the bye week. Basic fundamentals, whether it's steps, pad level, hand placement, those little details that I think will help pay dividends moving forward. Clint, looking at the next task at hand, we've got LSU coming to Tuscaloosa. It's a night game, hence probably why, having that at home probably helps us being favored so much. But when you look at this LSU team, while they are beat up, wounded, they haven't been great. They've definitely been underwhelming in offense that's really struggling, that a lot of people had high expectations for. Quarterback that threw for over 4,000 yards last season, this year, beat up, just doesn't look the same, kind of looks like a shell of himself. Offensive line struggles last in the conference running the football. You still look at it, I mean, they've got 3 losses, but they've all come to ranked teams, and it's not like they're a bad team. You definitely still respect this team. Just want to get your initial thoughts on what you've seen out of them, and maybe let's start with the offense, as I mentioned them. What have you seen from this LSU team, Clint? What's making them struggle so much, and how do you feel like Alabama's defense matches up against this offense that it is struggling, but definitely still has a lot of potential?
Well, one of the things with Garrett Nussmeier going into the season, I thought last year, good deep ball thrower, but his entire game is built on timing and rhythm, good processor, pre and post snap, accurate, the ball placement, the anticipation. Last year, he really seemed to see the field well. This year, I don't think he's seen it as well. And granted, I think that's for a variety of reasons. I think the offensive line actually to a more extreme degree than Alabama, but their offensive line has fallen well short of expectations. I think their run game has been very inconsistent. And you've seen flashes, but they really, in some ways, they abandoned, it down the stretch as far as prior to the bye week. I think that they're going to have a newfound commitment to it. Frank Wilson has talked about how they're going to want to run the football, and that's going to be a part of their identity moving forward. So Alabama's got to be ready for that. It's going to probably look a little bit different than it has up to this point. But I think it's a combination between the offensive line falling short, and that's an extension of, the run game hasn't been as complimentary as they needed it to be. And, Garrett Nussmeier just not playing the caliber of football. And I understand that injury probably plays a role in that to a certain extent, but he just is not playing the same caliber of football that he did a season ago. So I think as far as the passing game and just Trey'Dez Green and Aaron Anderson and Berrien Brown and, Nick Anderson to an extent, you've got a bunch of different guys that in that passing game that can be effective weapons. And Alabama needs to be weary of that, but that offensive line would also need to provide Garrett Nussmeier with enough time to be able to, capitalize on those playmakers. And up to this point, they haven't been able to do that consistently enough.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. I think it's going to be a good opportunity for guys like Yanze and LT to keep building off of what they've been doing. Yanze stepping up has been one of the biggest, I guess, bright spots for this defense. And I said early in the year, even before Quay got hurt, I said, we need somebody else to step up. But when our pass rush was still lacking, which still not perfect, but it's definitely improved much. I said we need we need a tandem. We need another guy to complement Quay, who he still was making his own strides. And man, Yanze has definitely been a force. So I think he could have a big game this Saturday. But give me your thoughts on some of these other young guys stepping up, Clint. I know last time we saw Alabama play, we saw more of Keon Keeley, who a lot of people, they always ask me about him, and I always would tell him, like, he's kind of waiting this process, right? He's working behind the scenes. He's just not there yet, but seems like he might be here. Whether it's him or even, Cavante Henry, we saw him get some snaps, and some of these other young pass rushers, man. How have you, been impressed with some of those guys stepping up later in the season?
Yeah, what I love about Kane Womack and really this coaching staff in general is just if you earn your opportunities in practice, they'll get you on the field on Saturdays. And what you've done isn't necessarily reflective of what it's going to continue to look like as you move forward. I love that. It keeps guys hungry, keeps guys working and trying to improve. And Keon Keeley is a great example of that. Cavante Henry is a great example of that. And Henry, kind of being a B and C gap player, I thought he was a great pass rushing prospect coming out of the JUCO ranks. And it's taken him a little bit of time, but just the size that he's added, I really think he fits that Bandit profile. I think Keon Keeley, I've kind of said this on my show, and I understand that you're looking for a guy to have a specific position, and you're not going to be playing him at Wolf. He's not going to be playing off the ball. But if they were planning to use him strictly as an edge guy situationally, I think the ideal would have been to keep him probably around 260, 265, let him be a little bit more twitched up. He was not an overly twitchy guy as it is, but I think that, the motor, he wants to do well. He's worked extremely hard. I think he's got, stronger at the point of attack, but he's still not to a point where I think they're ready to trust him as a true 3-down guy. But you love the progress that he's making, and he's getting to make an impact as a situational player, and him finally being able to get that sack, that was fantastic. But when you talk about LSU and some of their struggles, like Garrett Nussmeier, I think he's got to be the most concerned about the tackle play because their starting left tackle has been out. The backup that they brought in was awful. I mean, he's really bad. I mean, I'm not trying to dog anybody, and then they bench him and they put in a true freshman. And then I think the true freshman might not be available this weekend against Alabama. So they might have to turn back to that guy who had really struggled. And, so I think the tackles are what you're most concerned about, but the interior, Garrett Nussmeier is one of those guys where if you can apply pressure up the middle and get him off his spot, I don't think he plays great football. So if they can do that pretty consistently, that, Tim Keenan, pocket collapser, James Smith can be a disruptive piece. London Simmons is playing some pretty good football. Edric Hill is being a disruptive piece pretty consistently as a pass rusher. If you can kind of get him off his spot, I think Alabama can have quite a bit of success against Garrett Nussmeier, because through his struggles, he's always been a gunslinger. He's always been willing to test those windows where it's like, I don't know that I would have made that throw, but he seems to have a lot of confidence, and he doesn't let that confidence waver based off a result. But, I think as of late, just the decision-making and him testing those windows a little bit more, I think he's actually regressed a little bit in that area. I think he's trying to force things is what it is, trying to compensate for the up and down play of the offense. But, I think there are some opportunities for sure. And some of those young guys, if you can get in those obvious passing situations, you can keep them off schedule. I think that guys like Keon Keeley and Cavante Henry can certainly make an impact on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think they're going to have plenty of opportunities. I mean, we know they struggle running the ball. And if you can just keep that consistent and force them in those situations, man, it's me being a former edge rusher myself, man, you get excited to pin your ears back and go. And it's always nice when you got some hungry young guys, because I was once that my redshirt sophomore year when I was getting some snaps behind Ryan and Tim Williams, man. Like, any chance I got, I'm like, Tosh, I'm ready to roll. So I know the feeling for those young guys firsthand. I'm really excited for them. Let's talk about the other side of the ball, Clint. When you look at this LSU defense, now they're a pretty sound unit, right? Definitely not perfect, but they've got some good players. They got some guys in the secondary. They're definitely some Sunday guys. Linebackers, Perkins, what he's able to do. They play him at a number of different spots, but the Weeks brothers, they're good players as well. You look at this Alabama offense, we know the success that we've been able to have. I think the biggest improvement really is the fact that we can have these long, sustainable drives, right? And really just, just keep taking our shots at you, not, shots on the field. I'm referring to more just 5 yards here, 10 yards here, just dissecting the field and just moving the football, controlling the clock. How do you see that matchup there, Clint? I mean, personally, I feel like LSU is going to look at the tape and say, hey, when Ty Simpson is pressured, when other teams have been aggressive and force the issue, that's caused problems for this Alabama offense. How do you see that matchup playing out?
Yeah, Baker, the defensive coordinator, I thought he was a lot more aggressive early in the season. I don't feel like he's been as aggressive as of late, and that's been strange to me. I would fully expect that to change. I mean, anytime you see a coaching change, it seems like guys play a little bit more loose. There's all this pressure. And so, the switch up, I think, is one of the top things to be looking out for in this game. Like, whether it be offensively or defensively, you just don't know fully what to expect from LSU. You know what they have from a personnel perspective. You don't really know how the usage is going to change for certain guys, who's going to be featured, how aggressive they're going to be defensively, and things like that. But LSU does have some pieces, especially in their secondary. I mean, Delaney at corner is one of the best corners in the country. AJ Halsey at safety, I think he is a phenomenal player. I think he's got potential day one talent, bare minimum day two talent, but I think that it's very possible he can end up climbing into the top 32 picks. Positional value could cause him to drop, is I guess what I'm trying to say. But he's physical, 6 foot, 220 plus pounds, but he's rangy. He's made a lot of plays in the back half of that defense. DeMarcus Cooley, another transfer from NC State. I thought he's done some good things at safety. And DJ Pickett, the 5-star freshman, 6'5", 195 pounds, got that Dijon Lee rare unicorn type of length out there on the perimeter. He had played pretty consistently throughout the year, but PJ Woodland, who had been starting, I mean, he was playing okay, but I think DJ finally got his opportunity against A&M, and I thought he performed pretty well. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if you saw him opposite Delaney against Alabama, and having a freshman out there that might be somebody that you want to kind of test a little bit, but he's got talent just like Dijon. So in the secondary, I think they're in a really good place. Whit Weeks, him being out, I think from a communication standpoint, I just don't think things have looked as smooth as they did early in the season. Through the first 6 games, LSU's defense was averaging, giving up just 11 points. And over the last 2, I mean, they gave up 49 against A&M and 31 against Vanderbilt. So 40 over the last 2 games. With Weeks being absent, I mean, I think that has impacted things a little bit. So him being healthy, I think that should help that unit, that defense in general. But then up front, good pass rushers. Don't think they have anybody that's super twitched up or super explosive. They don't have a Dylan Stewart, in my opinion, but Pyburn, I think, is a good player. He's kind of a lunch pail style of edge. Patrick Payton, the transfer from Florida State, think he's a talented dude. And then on the interior with Bernard Gooden, 6'1", 268 pounds, not big at all, but very disruptive, very active. If you're going to be an interior guy in the SEC at that size, you need to be very active and very disruptive, and that's exactly the way that he plays. So I've been impressed with their defense, obviously a lot more than their offense, and I think that they're probably going to try to rely on their defense quite a bit on Saturday because they are – and I don't know if you'll see Michael Van Buren at quarterback. I've seen some people suggest that was a possibility. I don't think they move off of Garrett Nussmeier, but at the same time, the offense, in my opinion, is a lot more uncertain. The defensive side, they didn't switch anybody's roles up. Everything remains the same post Brian Kelly. So I think from that side of the football, you can, other than maybe getting to be a little bit more aggressive, you can probably expect a lot of what you've seen up to this point, which has been overall really good defensive play.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you answered one of the questions we had from our listeners. They're asking about their guys up front, if you felt like there was anybody that kind of stress our tackles out. And I think you kind of hit that. They're good players, but maybe not the same threats of the likes of maybe, Missouri's, tandem that they have, or Dylan Stewart. To be fair, our offensive line, while they haven't been consistent, they've definitely consistently played some good players at those edge spots.
That's a good point. And something I will say, if I was LSU, I understand why they've done what they've done, with Harold Perkins, but he's had 58 pass rushing opportunities so far this season. That's not a lot. Guys like Pyburn and Payton, all these players are sitting up there in the 150 plus, closer to 200. That's 3.5 times what Harold Perkins has gotten up to this point. I understand the position he plays. It's not going to lend itself for a lot of pass rushing opportunities, but he's a good guy. I understand from an NFL perspective, being 6'1", 220 pounds, that skill set's not going to translate to the next level, but he's certainly done it on the college level at times. And if you're trying to apply pressure and put strain on Alabama's tackles, that would be something that I would give Harold Perkins a few more opportunities to get after the quarterback. Don't know that they will, but I think, as far as the guys that Alabama has played in the last several weeks, I feel pretty good about them being able to hold up at least, well enough. And you've got to avoid those obvious passing situations as much as you possibly can. And they haven't done the best job of that, especially against South Carolina. But if they can get back on track or back on schedule, I think that their tackles, they can do some things with schematically to protect those guys.
Yeah, like the chips, I think, have been huge this year. I don't think people understand even that, little nuance, man. Like, for whatever reason, I couldn't figure out why the last couple of years our coordinators would not. I don't know if they were stubborn or they just didn't want to alter what they wanted to do. But I'm like, dude, we can't block speed off the edge. Put a damn tight end there. Put the back on that side, even if you have to change the protection. I'm like, these are like basic day one things that they just, I don't know. But Ryan Grubb, thank you. He has no problem doing that. We're joined by Clint Lamb of Cover Crimson. Clint, so we discussed LSU's offense or defense. Just a couple keys in this game that you just feel like if Alabama can do these things, they should, have the success. I know we're favored in this game, but there any just maybe it's 2 or 3 keys that you feel like as long as we do these things, we pretty much have that success that we want on Saturday?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is, I do think LSU is going to have a newfound commitment to the run game. And I think that they understand their limitations at tackle. They understand what Garrett Nussmeier is as a player and some of the struggles that he has as of late. So they're going to want to run the football to take as much pressure off of him as possible, to try to protect those tackles in the passing game as much as possible. And so Alabama, they have given up chunk plays in the run game, but I actually think, especially tackle to tackle, they've actually been more effective as far as stopping the run that a lot of fans want to give them credit for. I think Tim Keenan is playing really good football. Kane Womack yesterday talked about him playing that zero technique, nose, 2 gapping, and I think he's been very effective in that area. If they can keep LSU's run game from, don't allow them to commit to it, and if they do commit to it, make it limited impact where they're not getting much out of it, stay in those obvious passing situations, and then allow your pass rush, Yanze Pierre, LT Overton, Keon Keeley, maybe Cavante Henry, and some of those guys to pin their ears back and get after Garrett Nussmeier, because if you can do that, I do think you can force a turnover or two. This defense has been very opportunistic on that front, and Nussmeier is the type of quarterback similar to a Joey Aguilar where he's going to make one or two decisions a game where you're like, man, he probably would like to have that one back. So that would definitely be a key for me. And I think offensively, with what they have on the perimeter, I do think that you'll see them test the freshman Pickett. I wouldn't be shocked at that. But I think over the middle of the field, those safeties have been really good. But I think Alabama and kind of what they want to do from a short to intermediate passing game perspective, they can have some success. I think Lottie Brooks could end up having a pretty big impact in this game if he's healthy. I think Ryan, when he's playing in the slot, he can have an impact. And then, of course, Josh Cuevas as well. So keeping those guys involved, and if you can, which is, easier said than done, but if you can, get things on track, whether it be your vertical passing game or your run game, bare minimum one of those two, not only do you put that on tape for future opponents to have to prepare for, but I also think it's going to open up quite a bit as far as what Alabama wants to do. Because against South Carolina, didn't see as much play action from Ty. Didn't really see as much as far as, some of the pre-snap stuff that he was doing. And so I'm hoping they are able to get back to that, because if they can, he obviously is a very effective player. And, I think while LSU is good defensively, I think that this Alabama offense, it's good enough to have success, at least to some extent, pretty much against anybody.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's why I'm similar to you, man, in terms of the keys, then protecting the football. We all know in games like this, I mean, a team that struggles offensive, man, they're going to try to have their defense almost do it for them. And they've shown the ability to force turnovers. So I think that'll be a big, and we'll see how that plays out. Clint, I got just like a couple more questions real quick, and I appreciate you hopping on here with us, man.
Yeah.
One from our chat here, they asked, is there any player that makes you the most worried from LSU side of things?
Oh, man. I think they got several guys that should worry you. I mean, obviously, the tight end, Green, I think he is
tall dude.
Oh, my gosh, 6'4", 240 pounds. He's got that ball-winning ability downfield. I saw against, a Texas A&M corner. I'm drawing a blank on his name, but that I think is actually an NFL caliber prospect. I saw him bully him down on the line of scrimmage in a fade situation on the goal line and get a touchdown. And over the last 3 games, they've really started to feature him. I think he 6 targets in 11. So he's averaging just under 8 per game over the last 3 games. And he's had a lot of success, scored a touchdown in each one of those 3 games. He's a unicorn type of player that you just know. I mean, I love Aaron Anderson. I love Berrien Brown. Like I said, they've got a lot of different playmakers in their passing game, but I think Green is one of those types of players that, obviously it will be based off of where he lines up. You'll see Deshaun Jones in the slot on him. You'll see there will be opportunities where he lines up outside, or maybe you see a Dijon Lee or a Damani Jackson or a Xavier Brown. You'll also see Bray Hubbard. You'll see Keon Sapp. It'll be a collective effort from pretty much everybody, but 55% of his snaps have come in the slot. So for being a tight end, he only plays in line probably about 25, 28% of the time, somewhere in there. So he's not a true inline. He's not a true tight end. He's just a really big athletic body that LSU is starting to figure out, man, we can have success offensively with this guy. And with him having that unicorn height, weight, speed combination, Nick Saban always talked about, being able to – tight ends can be such a mismatch problem because matching the athleticism and matching the size, it's difficult to do both. So how does Alabama attack him or try to limit him? If he has a big day, regardless of what else happens, I could see LSU having some success offensively. So I'll be curious to see how they attack Green for sure.
Yeah, no, a tight end, man. Me and my dad always say quarterback's best friend. It could be a security blanket, and then take it a step further when they're as talented as you're talking about. That definitely is a mismatch nightmare. I mean, when I was on base, we were playing man. I was in charge of those guys, and I know I'm pretty athletic myself. But dudes like that, they definitely they can cause problems. So that's definitely a good matchup to look out for. Last thing I wanted to hit on with you real quick. You got the first rankings coming out, the first official playoff rankings coming out tonight. We always used to say as a team, our coach used to always tell us, these don't matter. The only one that matters is the last one. But obviously we're in the media now, so it's fun to talk about it. Anything you're looking out for? I had mentioned on the show earlier that I don't think there's probably going to be too many surprises given it's the first one, but I do know we probably will be able to kind of get an idea on what the committee is going to value more than others this year, whether that's strength of schedule, quality wins / losses, things like that. Just any thoughts, Clint, that you might have in terms of this first unveiling that comes out tonight?
Yeah, I think obviously Alabama's probably going to be in that top 4. It would make a lot of sense with the wins they've had. I understand, the fact that Florida State looked a lot better against Wake Forest, that certainly helps. Hopefully they continue, that progress. But, with the way that things are trending for Alabama, it's all about controlling what you can control and understanding that from this point forward, it's that there is no opponent that you shouldn't be taken seriously. It's all about getting better each and every week, because last year when these playoff rankings started happening and Alabama was starting to get things back on track post Tennessee, people were singing their praises and thinking the college football playoff spot was still very much in their grasp. And then they go out and they, similar in some ways to, LSU this year, where there's some limitations for LSU offensively. There were some limitations from a wide receiver perspective last year against Oklahoma. And then post-bye week, Oklahoma came out with a completely different game plan running Jackson Arnold, and it really caught Alabama's defense off guard. They ended up making some adjustments and having more success in the second half. But it's just understanding that, LSU is good enough to beat you. Oklahoma's certainly good enough to beat you. Auburn's good enough to beat you. And so you've got to take everybody seriously and understand, doesn't matter where they're ranked tonight. Like Saban always said, it's all about where you rank at the end. And I think at this point, the committee is going to respect what Alabama has done up to this point, because no other team has faced the number of challenges that Alabama has. And really, it's not slowing down anytime soon with what they have coming up.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I guess just to piggyback off that, any chance you think the committee values our strength of schedule and our quality wins game? I mean, I went and looked earlier. Our resume, it's light years ahead of almost everybody's in terms of who we played and the wins that we have. You think there's a chance we sneak ahead of a team like maybe Indiana or Texas A&M, given that they might have only one current ranked win versus I think it's still 4? You think there's a chance with that, or you think it's pretty solid we just stay at that 4 range tonight?
That's a great question. What they can do is they can kind of set a precedent right now for how it's going to be for the rest of the year. And that's what I do think it's possible, because they've already said they're going to start putting a bigger emphasis on strength of schedule. And it just seems like week in and week out, Alabama's battling somebody. I mean, even South Carolina and stuff, a lot of people, if you know or understand college football, the fact that they were playing a bunch of ranked teams, yes, they weren't beating any of them, but they're a better football team than their record would indicate. I think that you talk about LSU having 3 losses, 3 ranked losses. Like, they've played good football teams. They haven't been able to beat them, but they're still a challenge. And so you have to be prepared for that. The committee is going to value that. It's just a matter of how much. But like you said, if they come out and they put them even ahead of Indiana, I think that would make quite the statement, considering how Alabama looked in week 1 and the fact they have 1 loss relative to Indiana, who has seemed to do everything in their power to try to run from as much competition as possible. So I guess we'll see how it looks tonight.
That's true. Well, you said it. Precedent's a good word, because you're right. They actually probably need to be careful, because whatever now that I think about it, there probably is more significance to tonight, because they might end up setting a precedent that down the road it might be kind of hard to walk back on. I think we've learned that
good point.
In the past. Yeah. No, that's a good point. I'll definitely be paying attention to that. Well, Clint, I don't want to hold you too long, man. I know you got stuff to do, but big thanks for you to joining us as you do on Tuesdays now. I know a lot of people were excited. Now we got Clint on here of Cover Crimson every Tuesday at the top of the hour right here on the Miller's Edge. Definitely excited. And by the way, man, I forgot to tell you, so rude of me. If you ever need me for anything, man, hit me up. And
oh yeah,
we'll definitely do some stuff together, because it's definitely good chemistry, man. I love having you on here. Before we let you go, man, tell everybody where they can keep up with you. I know everybody already knows who you are and they get your stuff, but if anybody they're living under a rock, man, where can they find all your good work?
Yeah, YouTube, Cover Crimson is our channel. We do daily content over there, and then also get on over to wherever you get your podcast, search Cover Crimson Podcast Network. And if you like to listen rather than watch, you can certainly do that as well.
Absolutely, man. Great stuff. Well, Clint, we appreciate you, man. Look forward to doing it again next Tuesday.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Christian.
Yes, sir. You too, brother. Good deal. That was our guy, Clint Lamb of Cover Crimson. Big thanks to him for joining us again. He joins us now Tuesdays, top of the hour right here on the Miller's Edge. And good stuff, man. Got his thoughts on the big LSU matchup this weekend. And we'll respond when we come back after this quick timeout right here on the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 1230, WTBC.
Hey, this is Wyatt Fulton from Tide 100.9.
Good stuff, man. Really good stuff. Clint does his homework. Well, I'll tell you that much for sure. Heck of a job by Clint, man. If you guys have any response or anything on that, I try to ask some of y'all's questions in the chat. I just didn't want to hold him too long because I know he's got to get to doing some stuff on his end. Player interviews coming out, so I didn't want to hold him up too long. But for any ones that I missed that you guys might have been asking him, I'll answer real quick, at least give you my perspective. Do you think Bama gives Daniel Hill the ball more? Yes, I definitely do. I think that is going to be really important in terms of trying to continue to establish that running game. Not that we have gotten away from it, we've still been committed to it, but we just need to find what works for us. Personally, I think a lot of that is still up front, at least from what I've watched, from what I've seen. But I also know sometimes, man, you just got to see who's got the hot hand. And Jam, since he was banged up, he hadn't been as hot as he was prior. So without a doubt, I think with Daniel Hill coming along, he's definitely going to get more carries. I still think Jam's your guy, right? But just having that compliment to him, it was Kevin Riley. I think what happens is you see Daniel Hill surpass, Kevin Riley. You kind of go from there. But it's good though. I mean, now we have 3 established backs. You got Jam, you got Kevin, who established himself early on in the year. Now you got Daniel Hill coming along, who initially, going into the year would have been ahead of Kevin Riley regardless, but wasn't, fully healthy. Kevin Riley's playing some good ball. But now you got at least 3 backs, right? All that you trust and can be confident in to go out there and to do a good job. So Daniel Hill must block better too. Yeah, and you know what's interesting? He's actually one of the better blockers that we have. I mean, like, he normally does a good job. He just, got to be more consistent with it. He had a couple that, weren't great reps. I saw those too, but he can do it. I mean, and they've seen that in practice. He just got to apply it to Saturdays, man. But he's definitely capable. He's definitely capable. Yeah, Clem's right, man. That tight end that they have is definitely a good player. Definitely a really good player. You think it would help to toss the ball to the running back instead of traditional handoff? You mean kind of like traditional running game, doing more like sweeps and tosses? Definitely work that stuff in there. I just toss plays and sweeps and stuff like that. I mean, you just got to make sure, number one, those guys got to be able to get on the perimeter, and 2, the guys on the perimeter, right, like the receivers and those guys that are doing the cracks and those perimeter blocking, they got to make sure they're doing their thing. Sometimes those can, if you don't block those up well, I mean, the toss can easily turn into a negative play. If the defense reads it quick and they, beat those blocks quick, you know what I mean? Like, but I definitely think you work the perimeter. Similar to what we've seen. I mean, we do jet sweeps, we do, end around stuff, and we typically have success with that. So yeah, I definitely think working that stuff in there. But you still just want to be able to run the ball between the tackles, Especially when you're talking about, short yardage stuff, when you got to grind out a couple yards, you want to be able to feel confident that you can just run the football downhill and pick up that yardage. You know what I mean? Yeah, Daniel Hill, for a bigger back, man, he's definitely very impressive in the passing game. 1,000%. 1,000%. Clinton had a good point though about that precedent, man. However, they kind of, establish what they're going to go off of this week, kind of sets it up for the rest of the rankings, which maybe I downplayed the rankings a little bit earlier. Now to think about it, that will be important. Talking about the tight end last week, he played like a power 4. Yeah, no, you did bring him up, Jake. I definitely was watching him on tape, man. And welcome back into this Talking Tuesday edition of the Miller's Edge. Tide 100.9, 12:30. WTBC presented by the Good Feet Store, America's arch sports experts. We just got done talking with Clint Lamb of Cover Crimson. Again, he now joins us Tuesdays at the top of the hour right here on the Miller's Edge. So if you guys missed that, don't worry. If you're on the stream, you can just rewind back about 25, 30 minutes or so. Or if you're listening to you go back and listen to it later, just go to this episode, right? And you can listen to it right here. And I'll probably start posting those separately as well for you guys here on the YouTube channel at the Miller's Edge. But big thanks to Clint. Again, Clint R. Lamb on X is where you can find him, plus at Cover Crimson for all their work that they do. They do a really good job. Plus, like you mentioned, on their YouTube channel as well, at Cover Crimson. They post daily. They do a really good job. CoverCrimson.com. Make sure you guys check them out for all the good stuff that they're doing over there on their side of things. That being said, we do have some player interviews from today. We're kind of winding down on some time, so we're going to be selective. I know we haven't heard from Kane Womack, so let's maybe start there. We probably, if I'm being honest with you guys, we probably got time to do him or Ty, and I'd rather catch up on Kane Womack since we are previewing this Alabama LSU game. I know he had a number of thoughts, so I want to hear from him from yesterday first. If we don't have time for Ty today, we'll definitely hit that tomorrow, and we'll do that earlier on in the show. But I think we start here, Chase. I think we start with Kane Womack. And what we'll have to do is we'll probably need to combine breaks. So if it's cool, Chase, let's do this. I'm going to launch the Kane Womack interview. We can combine breaks. Then when we finish this, we'll probably end up finishing up the show. But I definitely wanted to get this in because it's important. I wanted to hear from the D coordinator. So let me pull this up right now. I don't think we have any we don't have any phone calls right now, do we, Chase? If so, I'll hit that. If not, then I'll definitely jump to the Kane Womack interview, which I think we're good. I don't think we I think we're clear. So let's do that. Here's Kane Womack from yesterday.
A quick wrap up of last week or 2 weeks ago. I thought I do think as a football team we continue to find a lot of fight and find ways to win football games when it matters most. I thought, defensively, we had some very timely takeaways, the pick six early in the game, obviously, and then finding a way to take the ball away the last drive of the game and giving our offense an opportunity to score. We also had 6 3-and-outs in the game that were really critical as well. Still some explosive plays that we've got to continue to find ways to eliminate, and we gave up an explosive play for a touchdown, which is something that is uncharacteristic, but certainly unacceptable in that regard. So those are areas that we keep working and fighting as we moved into a bye week last week. I think you're able to evaluate yourself and look at some of the things that you're doing well, some of the things that you've got to continue to improve upon, and then, even from a fundamental standpoint, areas that you can get better. I talk to the guys about this all the time. Good football teams get better. Good football players get better as the season goes on. And if you don't, you're giving somebody else an opportunity to bridge the gap. And so I think we're doing a good job in that regard. I thought our players handled the bye week with maturity. I thought they had a sense of urgency, and then had some much needed and much earned time away as well, which is important. And, obviously they got to get away a little bit, had Halloween going on, all that stuff. Guys got to do all that stuff as families. We got a chance to do those things as well, which watching the trick-or-treating and people go up, chance I got to see the outside world of an offensive skill group that we have seen with a very experienced quarterback. I think you watch Garrett, where he was a year ago to the decisions that he's making now. He does a better job of making throws under duress. He does a better job of taking care of the football. He's got some real toughness and moxie to making critical throws, even when it's not a clean pocket. You look at their tight end, he's probably a top 10 pick in the NFL. I mean, he's a truly elite football player. You look at their receiving core, there's just multiple players that a 5-yard hitch route can go for 50 yards and a touchdown. And so those are things that we've got to be mindful of. I think their offensive line is taking steps and strides in the right direction. They're young. but they're physical. I think they're more physical than where they were a year ago as an offensive line. Their running backs are very dynamic. All of them are, track style players, run, whatever their high school times, and you look at some of the GPS numbers that they've had. And so this, like any great Alabama LSU matchup, will be a tremendous challenge for us, and one that our players seem to have a great sense of urgency for. I thought we had a great Sunday practice yesterday. Guys came in the way you would want them coming in after a couple of days on a bye week. So very, very much looking forward to the week ahead, and looking forward to putting a great product on the field in Bryant-Denny on Saturday.
All right, thanks, Coach. Let's start with Chase on the far left.
Well, I basically bought this roof over the internet, which wasn't something I'd ever done before.
Can you speak to the difference in the run defense with Tim Keenan on the field versus Keenan off the field?
Well, I think, Tim is such a physical presence in that, those A gaps and some of the things that we're able to do with him from a zero nose standpoint, where he's head up to the center. We've got a few different fronts that we operate where he's playing a zero nose. Anytime that you can, two gap and create some havoc, and then some of the blocking schemes and the way people have to block versus a zero nose versus a shade. He can be influential in 4-down looks, absolutely. But some of the things that he's doing, up front when we show a zero nose as well is just very disruptive. And so those are things that, great to watch and see the strides that he's taking right now and the steps that he's taken. Him and Deontay Lawson were our power players of the week last week. Both those guys have overcome adversity and injury, and I think are moving in a trajectory right now where they're playing their best football.
We got two questions on the right. Let's start with Nick, and then we'll go to Charlie.
New play call for them, Alex Atkins. What do you know about him as an OC, and where are you expecting from the offense with him calling plays?
Yeah, Alex, I've known Alex for a long time. Alex was at UT Martin under Jason Simpson, Ty's dad, right before I was there at UT Martin, and he's had a great career. Very well-respected offensive line coach and an offensive mind. You look at some of the things that they have done over the years in the run game, and been very balanced offensively where he's been as well. So, obviously, to have in a situation like they're in right now, to have someone that they can go to like Alex is a great luxury for them. I think, when you look at it, you're trying to anticipate what we might see slightly different from what they're doing. Everybody has an identity, and everybody really shapes that identity around what their players are doing well in that given point in the season. But most certainly you have to anticipate and expect for there to be some wrinkles, and some of them will try to anticipate and work. Others will see what shows up on Saturday and will adjust. That's what good defensive staffs do.
Charlie, go ahead.
In a similar vein, I think you're also familiar with Frank Wilson, their interim coach.
Yeah.
What do you know about him, and what do you maybe expect from a team led by him going into Saturday?
Yeah, Frank was my position coach in college, and I love Frank. I mean, he was a very influential, impactful coach. I think he's very intentional with his players. He's intentional in the recruiting process. I think I'm a better football coach and player, because of my time with Frank Wilson. And so I have just tremendous amount of respect for him. I can't think of a better person to step in at LSU in a place that he cares deeply for that program in that state, and what this means to him. And he'll have that team ready to go. They will be motivated. They'll be ready. They'll be well prepared. And so certainly have great appreciation for him personally. And, obviously he'll have that team ready, and always need to see people that along the line, of your path and career, have great success. And certainly Frank is one of those.
Go to Katie, second row on the left.
You kind of hit on this next question, but how much more challenging did it make your bye week? You're facing LSU offense with the same players, but maybe with a new play caller. Kind of, you talked about you have to anticipate, but kind of how did that change things for you prep wise?
Well, the film is the film, right? And you look at what a team does. That offensive staff came up with a game plan together. I'm sure there were certain things and certain ideas that maybe their offensive coordinator previously had done to what maybe Alex might want to do, but at the same time, they're utilizing their players in a very good way. They have athletes that they can get the football in space. They're finding creative ways in the run game to hit explosive plays. And I know, maybe they're not as consistent as they'd like to be in the run game, but they're also very dangerous in the run game because they've created explosive plays in just about every football game. And when they do get out in space with those running backs, they can hit home runs. So, we'll look at, and try to anticipate what we think that they're going to do, maybe that might be slightly different tweaks. We're certainly going to prepare for the things that they have put on film already. And then again, you might carry one or two more things in terms of volume defensively, just if they want to go this direction or that direction. But that's the nice thing about going into week, 9, 10, including bye weeks, right? We have a large volume of defense that we can go and adjust to based off of whatever we're seeing in that week's game plan.
Watch what bread does to our body.
Sourdough.
Real sourdough that is fermented for.
Go to Colin front left.
Okay, what have you seen, I guess, throughout the month of October from Dijon Lee? You've got a lot more playing time. How has he progressed? What other steps do you want to see?
Yeah, I think Dijon, young players, right, in big moments, some of it is just overcoming the moment. And I think, think about Dijon. I mean, the very first play of his college career, right, against Florida State, he gives up a big bomb. You see some guys that can wreck them for weeks on end, and he just went right back to work and has made plays on deep balls downfield, has made plays on situational downs for us. I think he's very physical in his presence in the run game. I think, he's continuing to just sharpen his tools in terms of what he's doing fundamentally. He has a much better understanding of what we're doing schematically. He's a great communicator for a freshman out there on the field. I think he does a really good job communicating with the linebackers and safeties out there. And so he is taking the steps in the right direction that you would want for a young starting corner to take.
Let's go to Theo on the far left.
Coach, we've seen some big moments out of Janze, making the most out of his opportunity. We talk about his growth these past couple weeks, and then what do you think we can expect out of him as Rousseau works his way back onto the field for you?
Yeah, I think Janze is taking steps in the right direction and just becoming a more consistent football player down in and down out. Obviously you see some of the production in the passing game and his ability to affect the quarterback. But in large part, you look at the Tennessee game, his sacks were because he was doing his job. And when you just do your job consistently at a high level, you're going to create more production for yourself. And so it's fun to watch Janze and the maturity and that he has, how he has grown over, the last year and a half, 2 years here that I've spent with him. And he's got a very impressive skill set. And, it's always you watch a guy when they do their job more consistently and they're rewarded through production, there's a confidence that you start seeing a player play with. And I think you're seeing that from Janze right now in terms of the confidence that he is starting to play with. There's a confidence in a number of our guys that we're starting to see. And I told our players that's an earned confidence. You've earned that confidence to overcome adversity, to go create production, to go do your job at a high level. And we got to continue to see that. And then certainly, I think you asked a question about Quay Rousseau. Quay's doing a really good job right now. Our training staff has done a tremendous job with him and preparing him to get back as soon as possible. And he has done a great job of pushing and is hitting all the markers he needs to hit. And certainly we anticipate him to be back sooner than later.
Finish up with Joe right in the middle there.
Coach, what are you seeing Garrett Nussmeier, and particularly how difficult is it to defend him in the RPO game with what they've been doing lately?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head in terms of like how efficient they are in the RPO game. The perimeter screens, the throws downfield, and the vertical, slant glance game as well is an extension of their run game. And so sometimes you look at it and you go, well, they're only running the ball for this. Yeah, but they're doing certain things in the run game that are opening up things in the passing game, the RPO game, right? And so those are things that he is navigating them really well. He's making really good decisions in terms of handing the runoff or throwing the RPO based off of the numbers that he's seeing in the box or the rotations and leverages that he's seeing right now. And he, you can tell he's very confident in knowing where to go with the ball, and that's allowing them to be pretty efficient offensively.
So there you have it. That was defensive coordinator Kane Womack speaking to the media yesterday, and got a lot of his thoughts on this matchup this weekend. After we got a lot of thoughts from Clint Lamb, we'll cover Crimson. Big thanks to him. Again, joins us on Tuesdays at the top of the hour. Good stuff as always. Chase, appreciate you. Appreciate Reed, all you guys behind the scenes. Appreciate all our listeners. Tide 100.9 over on YouTube at the Miller's Edge, on Facebook at the Tide 100.9 Facebook page as well. Looking forward to talking with you guys tomorrow right here on the Miller's Edge, presented by the Good Feet Store. Tide 100.9, 12:30 WTBC.